7, 8. Grandpa's small stages so far in running. That made his funeral.
Hey guys, welcome to the Bandcast. I'm your host Jack, and I'm here with Nate Bear from Raccoon Tour. Say hi.
Hey, what's up? I'm Nate. I'm Nate Burr from Raccoon Tour. Also, NateIsLame. I do a lot of stuff. Hi, nice to be here. Thanks, man.
Alright. So Nate, you're at VidCon right now, right? How's that been?
Holy cow! It hasn't even started yet, and there's 15 people in this medium-sized house, and it's just pandemonium all day long. So it's cool hanging out and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Well, traveling to Anaheim must be really tiring, right?
You know, I've actually been lucky because all my planes have been really chill and that sort of thing. Everyone else here, you know, their flights are getting delayed for some reason. I think it's all the earthquakes or something.
Alright. Wait, earthquakes?
Yeah. There's, you know, in case people are watching this in the future, Anaheim, Southern California has been getting hit with a lot of serious earthquakes. There's a 6.5 and there was, I think, a 7.1 in the area. We could feel it and stuff. It was really cool. Have you ever stood on a trampoline while there are other people jumping on it?
Yeah. Well,
Okay. If you have, that's exactly what an earthquake feels like, which I've come to find is kind of cool.
alright, as long as everyone's safe.
Oh yeah.
So, I know that traveling is a big thing with bands. So, do you think that you and Raccoon Tour will ever go on tour? And if so, where do you want to go?
Oh yes. So touring is one of the biggest, only legitimate ways that bands are able to make money anymore. So definitely me and a lot of my music friends have decided that touring is going to be a very big focus for Raccoon Tour, which I think is going to be pretty headache-inducing down the road. Is it going to be like a Raccoon Tour? Is it going to be like Raccoon Tour Squared? Whatever we're going to call it. And I think it'd be so cool to visit all 50 states in the USA.
Really?
You know, I think that'd be so fun for one big tour. It's just Alaska and Hawaii would probably mess things up,
But if you have one place that you absolutely need to go to, where would that be?
that's a really solid question. Growing up in a farming town in Idaho, I remember being so bummed out because all of my favorite bands would never play in the area. I'd miss everybody whenever they went on tour. So I think it would be really cool. I don't have a specific place, but I want to play somewhere in the middle of back roads nowhere, you know, in a really in someone's barn, you know, their family barn. I'd like to play in someone's family barn and have 6 people there who really know and really enjoy our music. I think that would be one of the coolest concerts ever.
Yeah, I totally get that. My band, we're at the edge of somewhere and nowhere, and that's basically the entire scene here. There's a ton of construction, but we're not quite in the city, so basically we'll go outside to the forest or the quarries and just jam out.
The edge of somewhere and nowhere. That's
Yeah.
like Modest Mouse.
We're from Nashville, but really we're just outside of it.
Okay, Nashville's a good music town to get started in.
Yee. So, who all is in your band and how did you find them?
I gotcha. So on bass, we have my buddy named Matt George. I've known him since freshman year of high school and that sort of thing. And he's just always been a good homeboy of mine. He picked up bass and I was like, hey, I like you. Come play in my band. And he was like, okay. On drums, we have a fellow named Zach Quintana. I met him at a party, and he's just a stellar instrumentalist at every single little thing he does. He was in another mini project I did called ST Demon Seed, and he killed it. He's a really phenomenal drummer. He's one of the best guitarists in Idaho. I heard stories about him before I met him, that sort of thing. So he's really quirky, but he's he keeps everybody in line. He has this aura about him that keeps people from doing dumb bullshit and that sort of thing. Yeah, on lead guitar we have Trey Wells, and Trey Wells, we wound up going to school together, found out that we both really enjoy the local music scene. We both play music, that sort of thing, and it just kind of clicked. And now we're like living together and stuff. He helps me out with my demos every now and then, and he's been really important to the band. And finally, we have Keegan Schwenka. I have no clue how to pronounce his last name, and it's been like half a year since he's been in the group. He's playing rhythm guitar, and Keegan was just one of those folks who I hadn't really met in real life. We have a lot of mutual friends, that sort of thing, and he just plays guitar. He had a couple of his own little mini projects and that sort of thing, and he was just one of the first people I had in mind for some reason. And so he just came to one of the rehearsals and he clicked. He was really friendly, really upbeat, and he was someone who I wouldn't mind spending a lot of time with. So,
all right.
Yeah, that's everybody. If I forgot anyone, I'd feel like a piece of garbage.
Well, that's a really colorful cast of people.
Oh, yeah.
So, you mentioned ST Demon Seed. When you first started playing music, who was that with? What was your band? What was your journey with all that?
ST Demon Seed, like the band, or just music in general?
Both.
Okay, I gotcha. So I have a friend who I used to make movies with and that sort of thing, and he had this emo punk band called Cadus, and they were looking for a bass player, and I said, I don't know how to play bass, but I want to be in your band. Now, 99% of bands would say no to that, but since I knew them personally and they were super cool, they're like, yeah, let's give them a shot. So they gave me a bass. They spent like 5 minutes teaching me how to play it, and then it just took off. I mean, I learned a lot. I was with them for, I think, a year or a year and a half, and I wound up being booted out. I was booted out because I was 15 or 16 at the time, and they wanted to play these 21-plus gigs. And so playing in a bar was always like this really big headache. It always sucked playing in a bar because it was like a coin toss whether or not they would let me play. So, yeah, that sucked a bit. But then, I think about 2 years or so, I just kind of fiddled on my ukulele, learning how to, write music, that sort of thing. My senior year hit, and I was like, crap, I want to do like a school talent show thing, like the end of a teen movie,
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of my friends together, and we formed this joke band called ST Demon Seed. And basically, we wanted to do this thing where we goof on the talent show. It's not like we're going to kill anybody, not like we're going to blow anything up. We just want to throw them off schedule for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So we auditioned with one song, which was Wolfman by the Front Bottoms, which is a stellar song. And then we secretly learned We Don't Believe It's on TV by 21 Pilots. You
posted that video on YouTube, right?
I sure did, and it is my most popular video, which
really?
is pretty fun. Yeah, I think it's either 2.9 or 3.9 million. I think it's 2.9 million it's sitting on, but that was a lot more than I ever had dreamed of, and it was really cool. After we did the whole thing, we goofed on the talent show. The kid who was running it, he was just a pompous little asshat. He came up to us and he said, "You guys are disqualified from the $100 grand prize." And we were like, oh, darn. So we threw the video up. And if you know how ad revenue works, you know that $1, it goes $1 per 1,000 views, roughly. And sitting at 2.9 or 3.9 million views, we definitely cleared the $100 prize. So I think we turned out okay.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is you can break rules as long as it's monetarily viable.
Okay, then. You have 2 songs out right now, right?
Yeah, 2 demos.
Okay, so they're not the full thing. They're just kind of to get.
Yeah, we mix them like by ear and stuff, and it's record them in a basement. So they're not representative of what I imagine the full thing to be, but they're pretty close.
All right. What is your recording process like?
I gotcha. We have a really weird recording process. Everything that I write is written and played on a ukulele, because that's like the only instrument I know how to play. So pretty much we have like an album of 12, 14 songs, just ukulele, ukulele. And an entire album of ukulele sounds really boring to me. So I have one of my best friends in the whole wide world. His name's Jordan Thornquist. He is working as my engineer right now. And basically he works, his studio space is about 2 hours away from Boise, Idaho. So once a week, Jordan Thornquist drives to my house. We drive 2 hours to his studio. We stay there for 2 days, and then we drive back, and we do that every single week. That's how we're recording right now.
Okay.
And it's a mess. I have no clue how to play guitar, so essentially, oh man, there's an airplane. Oh no, it's a helicopter. My God, that thing is loud.
It's a helicopter?
Holy cow. I will bet money you heard that. You'll probably hear that on the recording.
Hopefully so.
All right, what was I saying? Yeah. So I have no clue how to play guitar. So now I just demonstrate for Jordan Thornquist to say, okay, I want it to sound like this. Bum, 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 bum. And then he says, oh, like this. Bum, 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 bum. And I'm like, no, that was a little bit high. And then we spend a couple minutes, figuring out how he will play the guitar under my guidance. But essentially, it's all him. He kills it.
All right.
And so I just give him an example, and then he runs with it, and he brings it to life. Really, he's brilliant.
Speaking of Jordan, is he gonna feature on the album at all?
Yes, he will have like a couple little backup vocal bits, that sort of thing. I want to leave like little Easter eggs. We have a lot of gang vocal ensembles, and so pretty much we just have the entirety of Mains and Monitors, which is a band that he's in, and one of my favorite Idaho groups.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, we have a lot of local musicians who are lending their voices to this, which is really exciting.
All right. How far along are you with the recording?
How far along are we with the recording?
Yeah, like with the album.
Yeah. So basically, we're getting close to being halfway done recording. It's been really bumpy this past few months or so. But once VidCon is out of my hair, we will be 100% good to go, and we will go back and forth until we're done, essentially. So we're getting close to halfway there. But the thing is, as soon as we're done recording, we also need to send it off to a studio, which I'm not allowed to say yet. I'll definitely make an announcement in the future. A studio ran by some people who I really, really love and grew up listening to their music. They will be mixing, and it'll be mastered, and there's going to be a whole marketing and distribution thing. It's a lot bigger than I was initially anticipating, and I have had to keep my mouth shut about it since like October. I am not allowed to like give any specifics, but I am so excited to show people, hey, this is a legit band now. Oh my God, So yeah, we're really lucky to have a lot of opportunities that a lot of groups don't get. We're really privileged in that regard.
Yeah.
To have a lot of, connections and friends who just popped up from those 2 stupid songs. So I'm really pumped.
The album's gonna be Horror Show, right?
The album is actually gonna be called The Denton Weaver.
Why?
I gotcha. So there's kind of this. It's gonna be serving as a concept album, essentially. I wrote the album itself like over a course of 5 years. I started in my freshman year when I first got my ukulele for Christmas. And essentially, it kind of encompasses my entire childhood in the sense that it kind of works as a journal. I wrote every single song in a different year of my high school years or something like that, where something different was going on. And it explores the concept of depression in the 21st century. I think that depression is such a boring, well-beaten topic, and I am so tired of bands just saying this is about depression. Writing songs about how you're feeling sad, while valid, they bore me. So I'm looking more at the socio-political aspects of depression, like why privileged people would feel depressed when they have everything that they need, how society is different now compared to way back in the 18th, 17th century, where you don't hear about all this rampant depression, yet babies were dying left and right, that sort of thing. And it's picking apart why, our generation is so bummed out compared to, our parents' generation, that sort of thing, where everything was messed up. So I think a Denton Weaver is a person who kind of gets eaten up by this society and that sort of thing, that's privileged and has no purpose, no objective reason to be bummed out, but they still feel bummed out. And so that's basically what the album explores. It explores a person and an event, and it details them. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end, there's a story arc through all of the songs that get explored through the subject called the Denton Weaver.
All right.
Yeah. We have an entire book. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
We have an entire book that I don't think I'll ever release, just describing the lore, saying, okay, this line means this, and it's going to come back in here, and that sort of thing. We have like an entire map, like a guidebook.
You should definitely release that later on.
Yeah, I think it'd be more fun, to have people kind of pick it apart. I already have folks making like fan theories, which is really validating.
Really?
Yeah, I think fan theories are probably one of the most rewarding responses that a creator could have to their work, because that means that someone looked at something and said, I want to take the time to better understand this, and they put their thoughts into digestible words,
Mm-hmm.
That is so rewarding for me, because that makes me feel like what I'm saying is legitimate and valid,
Has anyone gotten close to what the actual mythos of the band is?
I just last week, someone was texting me. It was a subscriber, and they were like DMing me and that sort of thing, and they were sending me their theories, and I'm like, that is close to the events that inspired the album. And while I think that those theories are cool, I do have a couple other folks who are just so off, but I think that those are a lot more interesting than the ones who are correct, Yeah. I like hearing people project their own experiences onto the things that I make, and seeing how different people pull different meanings from the thing that I make,
Mm-hmm.
So that's really rewarding for me, seeing how it can be malleable. It can be, it can be like Play-Doh, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's really rewarding. That's really special to me.
You said you started writing this album when you were 15, and if I'm correct, that's when you started writing Sofarinrunning, right?
Yeah, I wrote Sofarinrunning 2 months after I picked up a ukulele, which it was originally just 2 chords. It still is just 2 very easy chords going back and forth, and it's mostly a vocal melody. The vocals really carry it.
What's it about?
What's it about? Well, Sofarinrunning is about a friend of mine who had just this unthinkable tragedy happen, and it was me trying to figure out how I felt about it. Because it wasn't my tragedy to feel upsetty spaghetti about,
Yeah.
But it was still hitting me, and I wasn't sure if my emotions were valid. Is it okay to take so much of this grief? Is it okay to feel this strongly about something that isn't mine to be upset about, And so in Sofarinrunning, I was kind of taking a hard line saying, yes, I can feel bad about this, but as I've grown older, I'm like, is that valid? So a lot of the other songs are kind of countering Sofarinrunning in the sense that maybe that wasn't okay for me to, dive into and own so much of. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, Sofarinrunning is a lot about grief and the responsibility of grief,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. And also, I just think it's a really fun song anyway.
It is. I've seen some of the videos of you guys playing live, and I gotta say, I've never seen people rave out to a ukulele before.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. I think ukulele mosh pits are like my new favorite thing.
You also have another song out. Sorry, Sarah.
Sorry, Sarah.
Your lyrics in that seem really, really personal. Is this about someone?
Well, to be fair, some of the Denton Weaver storyline, the album itself, is fictionalized in the sense where it's not just one person, but rather I take a lot of these events and just throw them into one caricature, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So unofficially, I'm calling that person Sarah for right now. So basically, the lyrics were just me trying to create this really aggressive, angry, grumpy, I don't give a shit. Here, let me better describe that. Basically, when I was a kid, my parents described me as being a fixer. I was drawn to people who weren't doing so great, and I liked to try and play therapist with them, which was very dangerous and unhealthy for any teenager, to try and take so much responsibility for other people's problems. And I started feeling frustrated because after months and months of, trying to help my friends, I realized that I was kind of powerless and I felt like they weren't listening to me, that I couldn't make their problems go away. And so instead of blaming myself like I should have, I wrote the song kind of blaming them, saying, hey, you're going to get fucked up. And I did everything I could to stop that, we were reading Shakespeare in the beginning. I thought Queen Mab was just a really cool character. So I just wanted to reference her real fast. But
Yeah.
They can lock me up for all my crimes is a line in that song. And basically that is just me saying, yeah, I goofed up, but I'm kind of done with your bullshit right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah, you went out with laughter. I was like, well, you did your thing, man.
I don't know if you know this, but people have been going on sites like Genius and have been trying to decipher your music, especially Sorry Sarah, and they have been basically saying or theorizing that your music has a lot of themes of suicide and self-harm and a bunch of regret from the narrator, who they assume is you. Does this have any swearing in your music? Is it in the realm of possibility, and what you have to say about that?
Well, I like to keep my songs open-ended enough where people can kind of project a little bit on them, on the songs themselves. It's a little bit different from what I had in mind, but if someone is able to come up with a meaning and it clicks just fine, I say more power to them. I think that makes the song more dynamic and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so bullying wasn't what I had in mind, but if someone's able to look at that and say, yeah, bullying is what it's about, I say, yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, I dig the whole aesthetic of your band. It's really spooky, it's really out there, and I find that really cool because with a lot of the other kind of spooky bands I've seen, they either carry themselves like folk punk or death metal, which is, it's fine, but it's not that same genre, and you guys seem to do a good job at differentiating yourselves from that.
It's cringy and self-important,
Yeah, and if I'm correct, that whole aesthetic has to deal with your band's name. If I'm correct, you posted something on Instagram a while back about how some raccoon came and just yeeted all of your neighborhood's cats back when you were a little kid, right? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, that was a really sad walk to school.
Oh boy. Could you elaborate on that story a bit?
Yeah, I gotcha. So on my block, I think it was about 12 of my neighbors all woke up on one morning and they found that their cats had either gone missing or they had their intestines thrown all over the backyard.
Oh.
And it was just this horrific, morbid, miserable little tragedy that happened, to this really privileged, white, wealthy neighborhood, So on one hand, yeah, Mr. Whiskers just frickin' died, Like, Mr. Whiskers did not have a good night last night. But on the other hand, I just remember the intense, sad, like, it was like a cloud of just misery that just hit really hard on my block. I was lucky enough to not have any cats at the time. But everyone else was just so miserable. And, we were walking to school and everyone was just so bummed out. It was just so quiet. All the kids, were wiping tears from their faces. And as I grew up, I guess, I was thinking some people describe that as being like the worst night of their life. And there's like this cynic inside of me that said that was the worst night of your life, as I'm sitting in history class learning about how people's houses would blow down and Eastern hurricanes and how a baby was born on the Mayflower. And as soon as they got there, it was one of the worst winters they ever had. And that baby died and they couldn't bury him because the ground was too hard. So they had to just leave his body in the snow.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, Mr. Whiskers dying is the worst thing to ever happen to you. So it was kind of like this weird privilege, depression sort of thing,
So your band has this persona of going against authority, and that's not uncommon, but it's pretty uncommon in the way that you guys do it, because usually you just hear, fuck the man, and let's go after the corporate fat cats, dude, but you guys are a lot more submersive with it. You're a lot more cynical, you're a lot more laid back with your message. Do you think that'll be a mainstay in your music?
Something consistent, I am not sure yet, because I have ideas for future projects and that sort of thing. I think that for at least a little while, I don't want to be one of those bands that just makes an entire career about singing about mental health, because we have so many of those and it's such an oversaturated market and that sort of thing. I have a couple ideas on how to spin that on its head. I want to have an entire EP or something just about how I'm not miserable anymore. Things are going great, Like emo songs that are happy, That's something I want to do in the future, but I would like to branch out and explore more topics, different stories than just mental health. Examining, the socio-political effects of that and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I want to stay versatile, so I could see our philosophy kind of fluctuating in the future. Keep us interesting.
Do you think that you're going to stick with Raccoon Tour, or are you just going to move between bands?
As much as I love Frank Guerrero, my problem with him is that he creates a group and I love it so much and then he just ditches it after one album. And as cool as I think he is, I don't like that whole system. So I think Raccoon Tour will be around for a good long while because I just have so many ideas I want to explore with it, I'm far from done with it. I'm just scraping the surface with this first album.
All right. And when do you think the first album is going to be out?
Truth be told, we're still far out enough where I don't really have much of a clue. I would say towards the last quarter of 2019. I want to get it out before 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my plan for right now.
Will you be releasing any new music, or is this all we're going to get before the album?
Yes, we will definitely be releasing some more songs, because the songs that we do have right now are being redone. I realized that a lot of the people really like the demos. And my first instinct was to just completely throw them on their head, completely change them for the album. But everyone I showed them to didn't like it. They were all too attached to the original recordings. And I said, okay, that's valid as hell. So essentially, we kind of recreated the demos the best we could while adding elements and trying to make them more interesting and digestible. For example, we took Sofarinrunning, which is like a 2-minute song, and we've made it 4 minutes now.
4 minutes?
Yeah, so it's 4 minutes now, but it's still interesting. I think the additions still feel necessary.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
For Sorry Sarah, we redid the instrumentals because I don't like how, the guitar and the drum and stuff sounds on the demo version right now, and the vocals have not grown on me. So we will definitely be revisiting that one, actually, the new recordings we have are so solid. It's the exact same as the demo, but it just sounds more raw. It sounds more real. And we played with some of the banjo bits a little bit as well to foreshadow the solo, so it just doesn't come out of nowhere. That's such a good lick, and I'm so proud of that solo. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, the da 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 da
yeah.
da. That is such a good solo. I'm so proud of that.
Who played that?
Oh, so that was one of the solos that I actually wrote, and I'm really proud of that.
Really?
And so I gave it to Jordan Thornquist, and he crushed it. He killed it. The funny thing is that since I don't play guitar, I don't know what's accessible on guitar. So sometimes I hum something to him and I try to play it on ukulele, and it just does not translate to guitar in the sense that it's easy. Playing something on ukulele that's really high can be extremely, extremely difficult on guitar. So it's Jordan Thornquist is able to take these really complicated, difficult things that I just come up with, and he crushes it. He is so talented. He's so skilled. I just want to kiss him on the mouth,
Okay.
Yeah, I love that boy.
All right. So, I know that you're the main driving force in the band, but does anybody else throw the hat into the ring?
Yeah, so as for right now, I don't know about the future, but right now I do all the instruments, I do all the lyrics. So I write everything essentially. So it's kind of a glorified solo act in the sense, but we do have studio musicians come in and they say, I hear what you're trying to do, but have you considered this? And then they play something totally different, and I'm like, holy shit, that's actually stellar.
Okay.
So I don't know how that works, where I have a finished song and then someone just comes in and blows my mind by doing something better than I could have ever imagined, especially our drummer. Our drummer, his name is Patrick, and he plays for Mains and Monitors, and he's one of the best drummers you've ever met. He is incredible, and he's able to breathe so much life into these dumb little songs I made when I was like a kid,
Mm-hmm.
So that's about the extent of collaboration I do. This is just way too personal for me that I don't know how comfortable I feel staring at this for 6 years and then giving someone else access to throw some of their own stuff into it, if that makes sense. Since they've only been looking at it for like a couple weeks compared to my years,
Mm-hmm.
It's just too special for me, and I'm kind of a butthead about it.
Do you think that you guys are ever going to be pursuing a record label of any sorts?
Definitely. With record labels come a lot of opportunities, a lot of stability, and a lot of connections. Really important steps that you need to take as a group. We're going to be really, really picky about who we want to go with. We don't want someone who has a history for shelving bands. We don't want someone who, has such a huge list of artists that they won't be able to give us the time that we need. So we have a couple folks who we really, really want to pursue, and I'm not allowed to drop names right now. But yeah, you might be hearing an announcement from us pretty soon.
I wish you all the best of luck with that. We are reaching the end of our time though. However, before we head off, I want to ask you a couple more questions. So, you've worked in the music industry for a long time, at least as a kid. You've been playing in bands, you've been writing your own music, you've been doing all this different stuff. And I know that you guys just played a gig at Treefort Music Festival.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
How was that, and how was it when you planned out your own festival?
I gotcha. All right, so playing at Treefort Music Festival, that's kind of like the festival in Boise. If you're a local band, you're not real until you've played Treefort,
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a rite of passage, and to be able to do that for our second show, by the time we were booked, we had never played anything live, We'd only been a live band for like 2 weeks by the time that we were accepted, which was wild. I thank my YouTube career so much. Basically, it was friendly. It was fun because Treefort Music Festival, you have to pay for a pass and that sort of thing, and it's a lot spendier than just a one-off show. it's not like we had a lot of fans coming to that show. So it was mostly just our friends and family coming out. And it felt like a proper small show, where there's a lot of infectious energy. And everyone there's just really happy to see you,
Mm-hmm.
Because our first show was at a smaller venue, and it was public, and
The Hive, right?
we packed it. Yeah, the Boise Hive. We packed the Hive. There were people outside pressed against the windows trying to watch. It was so packed. And it was incredible, and it was a lot. And it's just not the sort of thing that you would expect from a first show. First show, you normally expect something a little bit more intimate and small.
Mm-hmm.
But that was not intimate, and that was not small. That was wild and crazy and loud and jam-packed, and there were people singing our lyrics back to us for our first show. And it was really weird too, because like a lot of the local bands who'd been around for years and that sort of thing were listening to people sing our words back to us at our first show. So that was intense.
How
so
did
the
they-
Tree Fort. Oh yeah.
How did those bands take it?
Truth be told, we got a lot of high fives, we got a lot of hugs as soon as we were done. A lot of folks said that we did a pretty stellar job for our first show. Since I'm, a person in the band and I have a responsibility for making the music, I'm able to rewatch those live videos and say, crap, we goofed that. Gosh darn it, you were off key right there. But people weren't picking up on that. So generally, I think that's just because they were focusing more on the energy than the goofs.
And that's a good performance.
That's always a good performance. I think you can get away with murder as long as you have good energy. You can be a terrible musician, but my God, if you're fun to watch, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And managing my own festival was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare, because I've managed 3 festivals, and for every single one of them, I was in high school. I was 16 and 17 when I did all 3 of them. And that meant that I had to come up with $500-$600 unemployed through just asking local businesses. Will you pay for the insurance? Will you pay for the food truck? Will you pay for the bands? Will you pay for all the permits and rentals and stuff? And it was fairly straightforward at first until our third festival, we wanted to get bigger. We wanted to get more legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So we got touring acts. We got real big bands, who like play with Morrissey and Taking Back Sunday. My favorite group at the time was the Frights. And so I just sent them an email saying, hey, do you want to play this festival? And they said, yeah, sure. We'll also bring along Honey. We'll bring King Shelter. And the bill will be about $2,000.
Oh.
Can you do that? And I was like, oh, frick. Gosh. Yeah, I can do that. So I signed a contract, and then I turned around and said, okay, how am I going to get $2,600? And we pulled it off. I was paying it off for like another year, but
How did you pull it off?
how did I pull it off? And payments to a lot of friends. I was in the doghouse with a lot of friends, and I'm very lucky that they didn't charge interest.
Have you paid it all off then?
Oh yeah. I've had it long paid off.
Okay.
So we're good. We're taken care of for now. But I think that was kind of like my last one for a while. If I were to ever get married, I would want to do a private wedding and then a punk in the park wedding.
A punk
My
in the park
blast.
wedding.
Yeah, where basically it's like a music festival, but in the middle of it, we do like a wedding ceremony, and then we just keep on going.
Huh. Would you guys play there?
Oh yeah, we would definitely play there. I would want some bigger bands for that one.
All right.
I'm assuming I'll be financially stable by the time I decide to get married, so I could probably pay that off a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the plan for now. But
All
yeah,
right.
no new festivals coming for me for a bit. So cool.
That sounds like it'd be super cool. And before we head out, do you know when your next video is gonna come out?
It's getting close to halfway done. But I'm at VidCon, and I'll be jamming out with these losers for like another 2 weeks. So It'll be a hot minute, but by the time that it is done, it has the Odd Ones Out, it has the Amazing, it has the Laddie. It's got everybody in it. And I was playing what I had so far to all the other animators in here, and everyone said it was pretty stellar, especially the Odd Ones Out bits. The Odd Ones Out bits are fantastic. James did such a good job.
All right.
So,
yeah.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming out. You are a super cool dude. You are super amazing, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
I really appreciate it, man. I hope it'll be worth it, man.
All right. I'll see you around, dude.
All right. I'll see you around. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hey guys, thank you for watching this interview. For the majority of you who have absolutely no idea who I am, my name is Jack, and I am the frontman for a punk rock group from Nashville, Tennessee called Ferry. We have a single named Hope You're Happy released on most major stores, including Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Links to those services will be in the description below, along with links to all of Raccoon Tour's music and social media. If you like this content, please subscribe, and even if you don't, subscribe anyway, because even if you think what I'm doing is garbage, I'm sure that my bandmates can come up with something a million times better. And besides that, we're making what I at least think are some pretty cool jams. We're just a bunch of teenagers trying to make people happy, so if you accomplish that, stick around.